Hello, my lovely Wolfpack, and welcome to a very special episode of the Lone Wolf Show brought to you by Wolfpack Media, the most entertaining place on YouTube for your news and commentary. I'm your host, Justin Huseman, founder and news contributor. We have a great show today, and we can't wait to get started. But before we do, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. So, we have we have some interesting stuff to go through. I had to wait a day, so I'm sorry that we didn't get a show out for you yesterday, but this is kind of a developing news story. Obviously, it's the big news of the week, I think. This JFK document dump that just happened here. So let's just get right into the news here before I give you guys all the research that I've done the past couple of days. First, we have here from the New York Post what the JFK assassination files have revealed so far, including apparent KGB probe into Lee Harvey Oswald. And if it will scroll down for me, the long-awaited release of tens of thousands of files on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy Tuesday night sparked a desperate search for new clues in the shocking 62-year-old crime, but much of the trove turned out to confirm information long known. Gerald Posner, the author of the best-selling 1993 book Case Closed, Lee Harvey Oswald and the Assassination of JFK, told the Post in a phone interview on Wednesday he was about 22,000 pages into the newly released files, but had yet to see a bombshell piece of evidence. I haven't seen anything yet that is real news, but that doesn't mean there isn't something, Posner said. The biggest question I have as I go through is why were these classified for so many years? It's pretty preposterous. I would have to agree with Mr. Posner there, just on the few bits of documents I've had to go through the past few days. The documents do contain some tantalizing tidbits surrounding the tragic events of November 22nd, 1963, with one file exploring a theory that a small clique in the CIA being involved, as well as an apparent KGB investigation to determine whether assassin Lee Harvey Oswald was a secret Russian agent. Yeah, and the rest of this we're gonna get into anyway here, so yeah, we'll just leave the rest of that, but it's very interesting. Definitely very, very interesting. So far I'm gonna say that this isn't probably gonna satisfy the conspiracy people like me, your host. We are gonna wait for a deeper assessment of this, but we will cover the few things here right now, just what I've gone through and maybe some of the theories that I have on this. But it does appear that as if these documents have been withheld in part, at least, due to the discussion of national security secrets. I've been going through quite a bit of these documents, and I'm seeing just mostly a lot of stuff about fighting communism in Cuba, in the Soviet Union. So I think a lot of it is actually related to more foreign policy of JFK's administration, but we'll just kind of go through some of the stuff that I found personally. I will say that looking through some of this, that our government's classification system is very, very broad. So if there's anything to take away from this, it's definitely that like some of the things that were being classified, especially for as long as they were designated classified, makes literally zero sense to me. Like a lot of these are some just like there's like pages and pages of just like cover pages, so it really doesn't make sense why a lot of this has been classified for so long, because a lot of it's like still, it's like a lot of stuff that we already know. It's kind of like the same thing we got with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. It's like most of this, I don't understand why it was redacted or classified, because it's are a lot of stuff that's already well known to the public. I guess some of these documents, like, I guess, confirm things that could have been considered theory, but but yeah, we'll start with these, like, a lot of these files seem, another thing that I guess, before I get into it, we can take away is that the CIA using propaganda to topple foreign governments, which people like me have long assumed to be the case. It definitely closes out the fact that it's a conspiracy theory that the CIA has been doing this for decades. I guess it kind of cements the fact that yes, our government has long used propaganda to topple governments, especially foreign governments. I think in the past few decades of my life, definitely have been using these same tactics on our own people, especially with the recension of the Schmidt-Mundt Act that made it so that the government can't use these propaganda tactics against the United States, but it was rescinded by the Obama administration. So I think ever since then, especially, there's been a great increase in government propaganda to the American people. But let's get to this first thing here. We have this here on your screen. You'll see that seems to point to the fact that the CIA saw the Roman Catholic Church as a key asset in its propaganda network, claiming exploitable access to its inner workings, and that the CIA was also using the church to exploit women, labor workers, students, teachers, etc. Um, so that's a pretty big bombshell right there. Just that, once again, something that I've long theorized that, of course, the CIA uses churches. I think they use multiple things, and churches, religion would be one of them, especially the Catholic Church, since it has such a big following, that they could be used to propagandize people, especially here in the U.S. But, and then we'll go on to this next one here. I did notice in a few of these documents that I got here, I've tried to get them all on screen. There's 4 of them in particular that I got here that it makes it seem as though the CIA really wanted really wanted to redact anything that had anything to do with Israel or Israeli intelligence. So take that how you will, I suppose. I know our tech guy Anton will be pretty interested in that. He's very, very critical of the Israeli government, which so am I, but maybe not so much so as him. So that's pretty interesting if you take a look at some of these here. And by the way, don't take my word for it. And I know that what I got on screen here, the documents are kind of small and hard to see. But if you want to go see this stuff yourself, you can just look it up in the National Archives. I shared a link on both Facebook, and I believe I shared it on X, and I even shared it on my own personal Facebook. There's a link to these documents, so if you want to go take a look at that yourself, you can, because like I said, I know, unfortunately, I have very low tech here in the studio, so what I got up here on screen is really small and hard to see, and I can't really go over it with you guys the way I would want to. But let's go on to these next documents here. I also noticed too that pretty missing. It's not actually a document. I just noticed a missing document that in the whole story of it is pretty important, and it seems to be missing. It's document number, and if you want to let me know in the comments if you guys have any information on any of this, you can. But it seems that the missing document number 157-10014-10006. It's the testimony of CIA counterintelligence chief turned Israeli spy James Angleton. His testimony before a secret session with the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Activities. This document just seems to be completely missing from the National Archives. So I just found that was interesting. But yeah, it seems the CIA is really hiding, because this James Angleton had a lot to do with this like secret intelligence pipeline between the CIA and Israeli intelligence, or the Mossad, as some would call it. It seems like there's definitely some connections here. I don't know if it's because that had anything to do with the assassination itself, or if they just wanted to keep it secret, because technically this whole CIA, when it uses foreign intelligence to do whatever it may be that they're doing at the time, they tend to, it's kind of illegal, especially like the CIA. I'll try to explain it the best I can. So the CIA, it's illegal for them to spy on American citizens, right? It's completely illegal for them to go around and spy on American citizens. So what they'll do sometimes is they'll have MI6 or Israeli intelligence or other foreign intelligence agencies spy on American citizens and then relay what they found back to the CIA. So technically it's not illegal, but it's still kind of, I mean, I could argue, I'm not no lawyer, but I'd argue that it is actually still illegal, to just because you are doing this weird backdoor technicality loophole bullshit. It's still could be considered illegal. But and let's see, we'll go on to the next one I got here, the next document that I found. I got this here that seems to confirm that the CIA considered bioweapons for regime change. This sheds a little light on, you guys might have heard of Operation Mongoose, that revealed that the CIA planned agricultural sabotage in Cuba using biological agents to trigger crop failure. So that's interesting. Once again, just shedding more light on what conspiracy theorists have long theorized. And this kind of just cements that from theory to fact, in my opinion. And these documents here seem to outline the CIA using political and psychological warfare to spread their influence during the Cold War. They talk about the CIA's plan to penetrate all radio and television in every country of interest to, again, combat communism. It seems like a lot of the CIA's operations at this particular point in time, you'd think that they'd have a lot more to do back then, but apparently not. But most of their operations involved like combating communism, I guess. I mean, it was like the Cold War era, so I guess it makes sense. But still, just you see some of these tactics, and it doesn't surprise me at all because I think that a lot of these tactics are being used here in America now. Like I said, especially with the rescission of the Schmidt-Mundt Act during the Obama administration. But I'll go on here. I'll go on. This particular document right here shows Oswald's commander went on record to state that Oswald was in fact recruited by the CIA during his deployment in Japan at the Atsugi Naval Air Base in the late 1950s. So that's definitely a very damning evidence, I'd say. I mean, witness testimony from his like watch commander, I guess, there at the Naval Air Base. So it really seems to me in this particular document or this particular witness testimony that Lee Harvey Oswald was in fact a CIA asset. I mean, I'm putting dots together on the conspiracy board, man. Is like, don't take my word for it. Once again, go and check these archives out. You can find the link on our Facebook and on our X. So yeah, check a lot of this stuff out yourself, and you can make your own assumptions. That's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just making my own assumptions. I'm giving you guys the information to work with. You can make your own theories or whatever, but a lot of this stuff seems like conspiracy fact to me rather than conspiracy theory. And here's the really big one that me and the other boys at Wolfpack have been talking about a lot. This is actually the first big one that I found particularly interesting. Yeah, this. I'm not going to show it on screen because it's multiple pages, but I'll just read you a brief summary that I wrote here on this whole story here. Now, but you can find the documents. The document number here, if I can find it. The document number to this particular story is PDF file number 104-10170-10145. So you guys can find this. Like I said, it's multiple pages, so I can't bring it up on screen for you, but that is the PDF file if you want to go take a look at this. But I got just a brief summary that I was going to read to you guys here. I found it was really interesting. This is a story about how this guy named Gary Underhill, who worked for the CIA at the time, was found dead after he revealed to friends that the CIA was responsible for the assassination on JFK. Basically, the story goes, the day after the assassination, Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of friends that he had in New Jersey. He seemed very agitated, is what these friends are alleging, and he told these guys that a small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, and that he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. And then less than 6 months later, he was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. And of course, as per usual in these situations, it was ruled a suicide. I don't know, guys. That story really in particular stuck out to me, that as per usual, these people unaliving themselves that seem to have information about nefarious plots within our government always somehow end up shot 80 times by themselves. Yeah, I think that definitely something shady going on with that whole story, but I don't even think that whole story is necessarily new either. From what I can tell, there was just some few parts that were redacted and that are no longer redacted now in these new files. But hopefully I can go through a lot more of these for you. We'll probably be discussing it on the Wolfpack podcast later this week. But
one that can do.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, a lot of this, the implications of what I'm seeing is there is another document I think I got here. Yeah, let's see if I can show you guys that. Yeah, I think I got, this is like a letter from the Soviet Union, because apparently JFK was asking the leader of Russia at the time about like info about rogue CIA agents, and then ends up getting assassinated immediately after he starts asking the leader of Russia for this info. And apparently in this letter that I got here for you guys, the Soviet Union actually tried to warn the U.S. about the assassination. So, as per usual, like I find it interesting that we often get like warnings of this stuff before, and our government just does nothing about it. It's like how the government was warned about the attempt on Trump's life this last year. And the government seemed to do nothing the fuck about it, and that led to a guy getting killed and Trump getting shot in the ear. Uh, I believe Russia had a similar thing where they warned us about 9/11, and once again, our government does literally fucking nothing about it. And the fact that the government does literally zero about any of these warnings that they get beforehand just kind of like implicates them. And I'd say that same thing with this situation with the assassination of JFK, that like if you're innocent, then you would have told us about it, right? Like if you just messed up and it was just a goof, then why would you try to keep it secret? Just because you didn't want to look bad? Now that doesn't sound right to me, man. That's suspect as fuck. That's sus as fuck, bro. And from what I'm getting about all this stuff, man, is like the government, the CIA for sure, definitely looks super sus. I mean, if JFK was looking into like small clicks, as this Underhill guy said, that were basically rogue agents that were just acting on their own accord without the permission of the United States government, it would stand to reason that they'd want to get rid of that president. My suspicions lie on JFK's vice president at the time, LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. At least looking through some of these files, and like I said, I'll be trying to give you guys maybe more of an update maybe at the end of the week here when we do the podcast with the rest of the boys. Will have, there's a lot of documents to go through. This is just like the tip of the iceberg. There's like over 80,000 or 30,000 pages or so going through. This is just what I've been able to find in the past 48 hours. So I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me that the preponderance of evidence is pointing to a small faction of the CIA, a small faction at least of the CIA, had something to do with this assassination. There's no doubt in my mind, especially with what was going on at the time, all the history surrounding JFK at the time between the Cold War and America's fight against communism, between like the CIA basically getting completely out of control. This is when I believe the start of the CIA's like basically being its own separate entity from our government and not really taking orders from our president. Like this is what led to the CIA be doing all the weird experiments on American citizens with Project Mockingbird and stuff. Like they had to get this guy out of the way so that they could start implementing some of this stuff here with our own people. But that's just my opinion. You guys make your own opinions. You guys can go to the National Archive website and check it out for yourself. Don't ever take my word for it. This is purely opinion, speculation, theory that I have just by looking through this. But a lot of the dots, like I said, the preponderance of evidence is pretty clear, at least to a guy like me who's I'm just investigating. I'm just a guy that bitches on the internet. So don't take entirely my word for it. Go look for yourself. And if you guys have any opinions, or if you go through some of these documents, and we can kind of go through it together, maybe. But you gotta start commenting, guys. We need some more comments. We really truly want to know what you guys think on all this. But that is all the time I'm going to spend on this, at least for now. Like I said, I'm going to go through some more of these documents tonight and probably throughout the next couple of days, trying to dig up whatever more information here that people don't already know about in this. I know there's a few things that I wasn't able to get to quite to tonight with it, that other people are reporting on this, but I will get to it. I just want to confirm some of these things myself, read the documents myself before I bring them to you guys. But thanks for joining us, guys. You can follow us on X and Facebook and Rumble and all that good stuff. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. We love subscribers. We love you. We love you. But we really appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time. Peace.